Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ralph from Harold the Soon-Coming King, broadcasting to you from the foothills of the Appalachians. This is the second series of dreams that I will be sharing over, I think, roughly six segments. And this one falls in the category, as I mentioned in the first one, that I'll try to categorize them as best as I can. This one really falls in the areas of invasion, war, and general destruction. So the first invasion ones, I actually had two of those fairly close together back in 2017, one in May 14th. There was a national invasion, and it looked like the troops that were invading were of Asian origin. I can't tell you which country, but they were Asian looking, and my wife and I, we had to hide to escape. And there were several scenes in the dreams of us dealing with this invasion. And I think the most important part was I had somehow known in advance the invasion was coming. It was known to me. So when the invasion occurred, I wasn't surprised, and we began to, deal with this invasion, as it were. The next one came just a few weeks later on May 31st, 2017. We had gotten a call from the NRA that the U.S. had been invaded and that we needed to take appropriate steps. It seemed somehow that that I knew that we were on some kind of emergency alert system. So I knew that, so it wasn't an unexpected call in that sense, that we would be alerted. Although at first I thought it was a joke, right? But then I realized, no, they weren't joking. This was real. We were being invaded. So I hung up and I started to prepare by locking the doors and going out of the property to get our weapons and ammunition to defend ourselves. And while we were out there, very quickly, it seemed like, it was a very short period of time, a military transport vehicle pulled up and it captured us. And it was filled with South American troops. They were definitively, how I knew they were South American, I didn't know. They were a bit ragtag, but they were armed. And I just remember being surprised that they were there so fast. Like this had been staged well in advance, and they got here so fast. Now, it did fall in my thoughts later, of course, when we've had so much immigration issues with South America, wondering if this is really an issue dealing with immigration. But let me finish the dream. We were able to hide our weapons and ammunition before being caught, and I was trying to figure out what to do next to protect my family when I woke up. So again, I think the point there I wanted to make was just that there was invasions, one with Asian troops, one with South American troops, and not knowing if the invasion of the South American troops really might be the immigration issues we've had of late. The next piece of this lesson is about war, dreams that I've had about in war, and I've had really three of those. There was one in June of 2017 where the countries of the world were signing up for war. They all had to agree to 24 articles of war. And most of them signed all 24 articles. There were one or two who tried not to sign a couple of those and slide through, but they were caught and told that they had to sign all 24 articles of war. Now, I've looked that up and I've not found anything specifically referencing 24 articles of war. So that's a very specific thing the Lord said. I don't know if that's something yet to come, but if we see some kind of declaration of war that has 24 articles to it, then the Lord is confirming it. But that's what He gave me. The other ones then occurred later. One occurred in February of this year, 2019, February 19th specifically. I was on a roof, and I'm in the roofing business, so that was not unusual. I was on a roof examining the roof with some other people. And in the parking lot next to the building, I looked up and I saw a missile. It was so low, I could see that it was bullet-shaped, as you would expect, a missile to look like. It was army green and metallic looking, so I knew again it was a missile. I did remember wondering if it was nuclear, or if it was conventional. I didn't really know which one it was, but so I had a concern for my safety because I was so close to where this thing I felt was going to hit. But realized then all of a sudden that the shape and the size probably indicated it was conventional and not nuclear. I saw there was a jet fighter and other aircraft flying in the air at the same time, in the same direction, mostly, but not all of them. And then I saw the missile impact. And when it impacted, the next scene in my dream, I was standing near the rubble. It was a fairly large area. And there was a woman, getting out of the rubble. And she looked fine at first, but then she falls down with blood running from her nose. She tries to get up and she falls again. And at this point I'm thinking, oh, this was not a nuclear weapon. It was conventional in its shape and size, but it may have delivered chemical weapons in it, or potentially hit a building with chemical weapons in it. But in my mind, I was clear that she was bleeding from her nose, not from the impacts of the rubble, but because of some kind of chemicals that were impacting her. And at that point, I don't know why I knew this, but I was on the campus of Duke University. And I don't know what that has to do with anything, other than it was clear in my mind that I was there. It was Duke University where that missile hit. As I woke up and I started thinking about the dream, I was still a bit in somewhat of a dream state, where you're in that in between, where you're not sure you're awake or asleep, but I'm aware of the dream, and the time frame April of 2020 comes into my mind. Now, I'm not sure about that date. I'm not saying that's the date. I'm careful because I was in that semi-dream state. That could have been something separate from the dream that the Lord gave me. But I did know that date popped into my mind, and that was April of 2020. And then finally, in May of 2019, May 6th, I had a dream about being drafted in the Army. It was kind of like last minute, so there was a lot to do to get ready. Like, it was just an hour. I just got told, and I got prepared in a minute or so before the deadline. And as I was waking, I was thinking about this happening, and realizing that the 1 minute might give me an idea that it was soon, because it just felt that way, and that definitively the whole Army reference led me to believe that it was war, and that's why I put it in this category. The last set of dreams I've kind of classified as just general destruction. And obviously you can go somewhere, but I put it here just because I'm trying to group all the dreams together. And in that one, the first dream that I had occurred on 2 consecutive nights. It was November the 11th and 12th of 2017. I really had the same dream all night. I just kept reliving the same dream all night. And all I kept remembering is that there was destruction at each level. Every time I moved to the next level, everything behind me was getting destroyed. It was kind of like, I almost had this picture in my mind's eye, that there were these clay pots being smashed behind me. And I was aware that I was dreaming, and I wanted it to stop, but I just kept dreaming. I really remember writing that it was kind of the weirdest kind of dream I can ever remember. It didn't feel like as it were, a normal way to dream. So there was just all this destruction, literally, every time I moved to the next level, right behind me, each step, as it were, there was additional destruction. And the next one was very general, but it was June 25th of 2018. It was multiple dreams, and it had multiple themes. There were deception and temptation and destruction that was throughout the night. And I remember because I kept waking up on the hour, every hour of the morning. It just seemed like I would wake up, it would be clear, and then I would fall back asleep, and then I'd have another dream, about this destruction that it was going on. And like I said, it was multiple multiple dreams of destruction. Well, I think that's pretty much it at this point. I don't know if I really had another one. I thought that I did, but I think my notes are not being accurate here. So we'll stop there. And just to say that those are the 3 things that I wanted to share in this segment, was that they're invasion, war, and destruction. I think that we have heard others on YouTube talk about that there is war coming to the United States. In fact, it is one of the areas that I truly believe is coming next. That war is on the horizon in 2019 or 2020. Now, whether that war remains in parts of the world like the Middle East, or whether it literally comes to our country, and I wouldn't put it past that either. Based on the invasion aspects and the war in general and destruction overall, I believe they do all tie together. That there is war coming, and somehow we're going to be drafted into that. We may be the target of it, for all I know at this point, but indeed there's war and destruction. So I say all those things, like I said in the first one. This is not to create fear. It is designed so that we are pressing into God. We're looking to Him for all our needs. We're in a first love relationship with Him. We're drawing on Him at all times. And regardless of what happens or how things unfold, we can count on the Lord to deliver us through it, by it, or from it. Those are the options, and either way God can deliver us. He's a sovereign God, and He can decide how He does that, but we surely are delivered regardless which way it may fall. I want our hopes to lead us to look for His second coming. That's the whole theme of this channel, and I'm sharing these things because it's a time of the season that we're in, that He's coming soon. And so I always like to end the broadcast by saying, look up, because our redemption is drawing near.